Hello. Hello. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna talk a little bit louder. I just want to welcome everybody. It's been a while since I've been in Sun City, and I got back at the beginning of July. But we have a great presentation for you. I'll make some announcements at the very end of the presentation. I believe we're gonna have a little Q&A also with our presentation. So I'm gonna hand it over to Judy since we have our speaker and we would like to get started. So welcome everyone.
Look at all of you. Thank you for coming this afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have a topic with an expert who's going to share with us her knowledge about reflexology. Has anybody heard about reflexology in the practice? Yes. Has anyone ever had a session with a reflexologist? No. You can tell us what it's about after you hear it. Here, how's that? So this afternoon, we're welcoming Chantel, Lucier, and I can give you a little bit of a bio. She's put me to sleep at the True North Health Center out in Santa Rosa, California, but I know for a fact she will not put you to sleep this afternoon. Chantel is a national board certified reflexology educator and practitioner, as well as a Reiki master teacher in the UC and Tibetan traditions, and the creator of Intuitive Reiki, an integrative approach, a self-paced apprenticeship program named after the book of the same name. Chantel also holds certification in traumatic stress studies, massage therapy, mudra therapy, hands, fingers, foot breathing, and reflexology lymph drainage, RLD, to name a few. Some of Chantel's reflexology classes include reflexology for trauma and addiction, reflexology for trauma, the brain and pain, which she'll be discussing a little bit this afternoon about, and reflexology for trauma, the brain, and pain. Yes, and the 12 archetypes of the wellness practitioner, an intro through advanced workshops and clients in self-care reflexology. She teaches a self-paced, intuitive Reiki program with one-on-one mentorship and a variety of ongoing reflexology webinars, continuing education. Chantel is a published author of 5 books in French: Reflexology and Common Conditions, Methodology, Technique, Physiology, and Symptomatology. Intuitive Reiki, an integrative approach, something new every day, letting your imagination take flight, and a copy in Spanish as well. And another book, Something New Every Day, Transformative Daily Self-Care Practices. She has been featured in various articles, videos, blogs on reflexology and self-healing and do-it-yourself techniques, including Gwyneth Paltrow's GOP, Jodie Irvin's Wellness Report on NY1, Organic Spa Magazine, Well and Good, and How Cast 50 Plus do-it-yourself videos, to name a few. Chantel has created various reflexology maps to help identify where the organs and areas of the body are reflected in the feet and hands. She has also created toe and thumb reflexology maps for referencing the brain reflex areas, anatomical charts, and fill-in-the-blank renditions to help support teachers and students in learning. I could go on, but I'm going to present to you right now Chantel Lucier. Here's your audience, Chantel.
Yay. Thanks, Judy. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm going to put on my glasses so I could kind of see you better. I am a fan of having dialogue throughout. So I'm going to do my best to present, but I want to give ample time, and it can be intermittently throughout, but definitely at the end, I want time for Q&A, because my feeling is I'll talk about the brain, we'll talk about how it works, how maybe it doesn't work so good sometimes, and methods we can do to help improve that. They're very simple methods using our hands on our own hands, very, very simple. Um, but also, I'd like there to be time at the end so that if you have questions, or maybe there's areas of your body that are experiencing pain or discomfort, there's actually places in your hands that you can press that will send a message to those areas of the body, including the brain, which is our focus. So I want to give time for that too, just so that we're really honoring who you are and not just like some random lecture for just anybody. Okay? Okay. All right. So we're going to do reflexology today. I want to talk a little bit about the brain first, because my feeling is education is a very pivotal piece of understanding how and why things work. I won't spend too much time on it, but I just want to give you a taste because the more we understand about the brain, I believe it's a better opportunity for me to go within and understand how and why things are working, and maybe how I can interrupt certain stress responses that are keeping me in limited places where pain persists. So, with the brain, and then I'll talk about what reflexology is, and then we're going to start to do stuff. So, you're going to be really hands on today. So, with the brain, the best way to describe it and understand it is this: every single thing that is processed, every single thing outside of you, everything outside of me, when you're looking around right now, every single thing that you see, everything that you touch, everything that touches you, everything you smell, everything you taste. These are sensorial experiences. These are your senses. This is how you take in information. The irony about this information is it actually means nothing. It's just data, it's just information. It only begins to make sense because you have a central nervous system. You have this spinal cord and this brain that is able to take in everything you see, hear, taste, touch, and interpret it, process it, have it go through a series of recall, and then to send messages back out into your environment. So you could think of this environment as data. It's processed as it travels up your spinal cord to your brain. Your brain receives, it processes, it retrieves memories, and then it's going to send a message back. Generally, if it's a pain response, let's say you step on a sharp rock, you go to the beach, you got no shoes on, you step on a sharp rock, there is a receptor, because we have receptors all over our body, or sensors. You could think of them like, I always like to think like you're a superhero and you're in a unitard, and there's all those sensors all over you with a green screen behind you. And all those sensors detect, right? So a receptor detects information. So when I step on a sharp rock, that sensor, that receptor is detecting possible pain, possible damage to the tissue, etc. That receptor, like all the receptors all over your body, its one job is to send a message up your spinal cord to your brain to figure out what to do about it. So that particular receptor is going to say, what do I do? And that's its only job. Detect possible pain and say, what do I do? And it does nothing else. That information, you could think of your spinal cord like an information highway, right? So there's like a little car traveling up to your brain and saying, what do I do? That brain, there's an area called the thalamus. I won't get too much into names, but there's an area called the thalamus that's going to grab that information and it's going to shoot it out to every part of your brain and say, what should we do about this? Now, the brain has all these different places, like a neighborhood, right? It has the prefrontal cortex, which is very reasonable. It knows how to figure stuff out, how to be discerning. There's other parts of the brain that are really good at detecting if you're in danger, really good at detecting, is this pleasure? Is this pain? really good at detecting, is this visual input a good or a bad thing? So depending, not even depending, it's sending it to everybody at that table. So if your brain, all the different areas of your brain were, let's say, 50 people sitting like you, you're all sitting at tables, you're all the brain, okay? You're in a room, let's say you're in a room and it's the brain, okay? And one of you is going to be like, I'm discerning, we're going to figure this out, we're going to make sure it's very, very clear, I'm going to organize it perfectly. That's one part of the brain. That's one of you, maybe two of you. There's another part of the brain, another couple of you that are like, we got to make sure this is okay. We got to make sure this is safe. That rock seemed very, very hard. We got to figure out what to do about it. There'll be other parts of the brain that are doing other stuff. So it sends it out to all these various parts of the brain and then figures out what to do. And there are dominant parts of the brain. So, one thing I'll say about that is no matter how old we are, those first few years are kind of pivotal in laying the network, right? Laying the groundwork for who we become and what we repeat. So, if you were somebody that maybe always had to be really aware of your environment as a kid, most likely, unless you've done a ton of work on it, you might still be that person that is really, really aware, right? Really, really aware of the environment, which has a ton of benefit to it, right? Of being that may have served you, especially at a certain job, to be so aware and so organized, right? Somebody else may have other habits that came into play when they were growing up, and those become the network within the brain that becomes more dominant. Does this make sense so far?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Good. All right. So the cool thing about this is the brain, there's an area of the brain, and like I said, I'm not going to talk too much about like the names because I think it'll just get confusing because we just have the hour. But there is a one part of the brain that I want you to be aware of, and we are going to touch it in our fingers, and it's called the hippocampus. The hippocampus is a great structure of the brain. I'll say structure. It's not even really a structure. Your brain is like all these neurons that are just like dancing and moving and interacting all the time. So a structure is kind of a limiting word. But this hippocampus is really great at storing memories. So an example would be, let's say you go to Spain. You go to Spain and you're walking up this beautiful little like alley, and there's like little shops that are just closing down, a little tea house. It's rainy and misty. It's dusk, right? And you're feeling great. You've enjoyed your time. It's maybe your last day. And suddenly someone races past you and they hit your shoulder and they keep on running past. So they hit your left shoulder. That's input. The rain is visual and sensorial input. Dusk, Spain, the place itself, input. This is all data. That person runs off and they turn around. And you look at them through the mist, and they have a mustache, they have a hat, and they have your yellow purse. Now, yeah, jerk. All of that information is going to be stored in your brain. That hippocampus is like, okay, next time this happens, she's going to be better prepared or he's going to be better prepared. So it's going to take that one memory that seems like it's one moment and it's going to fracture it and it's going to store it like $5 bills, $1 bills that maybe you put in a book, right? Or if you kept a journal, those little that little flower that you stored in there that 20, 30 years later, you're like, oh my God, a $5 bill. Oh my God, a rose that I dried when I was 20, right? We forget about it. We have this memory or these series of data points that are stored in books on a shelf that we never even look at. So that means Spain is stored somewhere. That alley, dusk, rain, guy in a hat, my yellow purse that I love, all of that is stored in various little like nooks and alleys of your brain. You got to move on with your life. You come back home, and generally, maybe you tell the story a couple times, but you're going to have to forget about it because you got to move on, right? Now, that hippocampus has done you a huge favor by storing all those memories. If ever you're in a situation like that again, when that data comes in and it goes up your spinal cord and it goes to your brain, and the thalamus is like, what do we do, everybody? Those memories are going to go and they're going to be sparked up, and you're going to have maybe a better response, right? You might actually be more alert. You might actually run. Maybe you fight back. Maybe you say something, right? You're going to have this different response based on your past. The interesting thing about this, and I think it's really important, and this is something I always want to be aware of in my life, is if a guy were to walk in the room right now with a hat and a mustache or a yellow purse, or it started to rain outside, notice what happens to your body. Does your heart start to beat very fast? Do your eyes dilate and you want to run, or like you just don't like that guy? There's just something about him, you don't like him, right? That's very interesting information. Even how I'm talking right now, some of you are like, oh, yeah, I get it. Okay, okay, I like her. Other of you are like, I don't know, that hair, those glasses. All the time, the totally nutty thing is all the time we're putting to our brain is deciding like this if we like someone, if we don't, their energy, we like it or we don't. We walk into a grocery store and somebody looks at us a certain way, and right away there's a split decision. What I want us to ask, and what I ask myself, is what can I do so that I become more aware that maybe this is past stuff that is percolating, and maybe I'm not in the present moment. We become so automatic. We become so automatic in our lives. And the thing is, it's never too late. No matter what junction we are in our lives, no matter how old or young or whatever we are, it is never too late to stop and recognize. And that act in and of itself, to stop and say, what is this moment? What is this? And actually, one of the best things we could do is just watch the response, feel the heartbeat, right? Just notice if we're uncomfortable, and to not do anything about it, just notice. That noticing is sending incredibly wonderful, articulate messages within this neuronal processing center, and things are coming to life. New neurons have the possibility to become any kind of potential they want. So, the last thing about that hippocampus that I want to say is that hippocampus, besides being a great storer of memories, it possesses something called neurogenesis. And so, if you've heard about neuroplasticity, that hippocampus neurogenesis is the birth of a neuron. And within that area of the brain, a cell can become whatever kind of cell it wants. And it doesn't matter what your age is or what condition you may or may not have. You have the potential to birth new neurons in your brain, which means that a healing potential is present in any given moment if I have a little bit of education and a little bit of awareness that if I stop and I am aware that maybe I'm operating by old systems and I have the courage to try something new or think in a new way, there is the possibility that that cell can become a stem cell. It can become any kind of cell it wants, right? What we'll do today with reflexology is, and I'll tell you what it is, and then we'll start to move into practice and self-care. Is it so easy because there's nothing you got to think about it. Everything I just said about the brain, you can forget, right? When you actually do this reflexology stuff, you don't have to be thinking about anything. You're going to press on certain areas, and that pressure is going to send a message to different parts of the brain to have greater blood flow, to have greater circulation, to relax that area of the body. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to talk about what reflexology is and how it works. And that's going to take like 5 minutes tops. And then we're going to start to do it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. So, reflexology. There are people that have maybe had it, or you've seen big signs that say blinking reflexology. You may have seen it at a spa as like an add-on. Usually it's done on the feet. It could also be done on the hands, like we'll do today. It could also be done on the outer ears, and there are some points on the face. The strongest and what I teach most is feet and hands. Hands, because this is the way we're going to be able to do it today. It's easy, easy, easy. When in reflexology, when you apply pressure to a point on your hand, that is touch input. Remember how I said everything that we touch, everything we see, everything we taste, that's input. That touch input sends a message to your spinal cord, to your brain. It's going to ask your brain, what do I do about it? Just like that sharp rock. What do I do about this information? What do I do about this input? We're not going to go deep, deep, deep. We're not going to cause pain. And if ever you have a reflexology session and it's painful, it's not good reflexology, in my opinion. There might be a little bit of sensitivity somewhere because maybe that part of the body is needing attention, but should never hurt. So it's just below the tissue. So it's going to be really easy to press. You're not going to hurt yourself or your fingers when you press, and I'll show you how to do it. When I do that, that receptor sends a message, what do I do about it, to my spinal cord and to my brain. Luckily, there are points on my spinal cord that have all this potential for that neuronal processing that it doesn't even have to get to the brain sometimes. It just kind of, it's called a reflex arc. It goes just to the spinal cord and then sends a message back. When I touch here, let's say I touch here. We're going to do this point today. We have these two adrenal glands that sit on top of our kidneys. Adrenal, like adrenaline. The adrenal glands, people say they're your fight and fight glands, right? They're the ones that are like, they get you up in the morning. They produce cortisol. They are also really active if you're in a car and really upset because somebody cut you off or somebody pissed you off, right? Like something happened. They're going to really get going and produce chemicals that make your heart race, that make your eyes dilate, that make you want to fight or run. They're called fight or flight hormones, right? Or chemicals. So in reflexology, this is your left adrenal gland. And I'll show you in a second. Like I said, in about 2 more minutes, we're going to start to do it. And so you'll get to learn how to do it. So this left adrenal, if I press here and I don't go too deep, it's going to send a message, spinal cord brain, what do I do about it? And if I don't go too deep, that input sends a message back to my, not my hand, but to my left adrenal within my body to have greater blood flow and to therefore relax. Many people will say, oh my God, it's like massage. It is not massage. You're not working with muscles. You're not working with skin or tissue, connective tissue, none of that. You're not working with that. It's like a little kind of mini map. There's the big you, your big body, and then there's like a little you that is in your hands. The right side of your body is in your right hand, the left side of your body is in your left hand, and it's like you're in a fetal position so that the tips of your fingers are the top of your head. And it goes down exactly as your body. So the top of my head is the top of my fingertips. As I move down, it goes into my face and my neck. The ball of my foot or the ball of my hand is my chest, my breast, my pecs, my shoulders. If I go down further still, it goes beneath my rib cage. Further still, I get my large and small intestines, etc. So I can literally just press. I'm pressing a button. For my adrenal, it's going to go, what do I do about it? And it's going to say, have greater blood flow, have greater circulation, left adrenal. I'll press here, have greater blood flow, have greater circulation, spleen, have greater blood flow, pancreas, have greater blood flow, heart, have greater blood flow, right shoulder. So every structure of your body on the outside and the inside can be addressed. So if you tore your right knee, meniscus, for instance, you can work on that. You could work on that right knee. If you have a frozen shoulder on your left side, you can work on the frozen shoulder. If you have hypertension and there's stuff going on with your heart, you can work the heart. If you are There are parts of the brain where just memory is not the same anymore. You can work parts of the brain, specifically the hippocampus and the gray matter, to help give attention to the parts of the brain that are not being used as much, that are, some doctors have a way of saying it that I think is not necessarily the most advantageous, but you could actually address those parts of the body and give it the message for repair. And there have been numerous studies. This technique is not a massage technique, as I said. It was discovered, created by neurophysicians. They were trying to figure out, how do I work with someone's liver and not cut them open? How do I work with someone's pancreas and not cut them open? And they discovered that every part of your body is like a little map, and it's not just on your hands. It can go down even into your nail. It's just the hands are way easier. It's not acupuncture either, or acupressure. That's a meridian system. That's an energy system looking at chi. This is solely working with your central nervous system. There's a lot of great studies that have been done over the years. We're in the throes of one right now that is proving or showing the results of what happens with stroke victims and reflexology and what's being lit up in their brain. Really beautiful stuff that will be published soon. So the potential for you to experience ease in a part of the body that is out of balance is great if you just give it attention and spend that little bit of time to press on that area. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Are you picking up what I'm putting down?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also very relaxing, as you could ask Judy. Usually people do go to sleep. It's which is, by the way, how we heal, right? We want to get into a parasympathetic state. That's rest and digest. We want, like, that's the move. That's how we heal, is to feel safe, to feel supported, to feel calm. So anything that gets us there, yes, do it. Okay, so are there any questions about what I said so far before we go into how to do the technique? Yeah, go ahead in the back. Yell it out, or come, or bring her a mic.
What your hand hurts.
What if just your hand hurts, you said?
My hand's the one that's hurting.
What if the hand is the one that hurts?
Yeah, great question. This will happen with feet too. Like, I'll do a session and people say, my feet just hurt in general. What you will discover is, let's say both of your hands just hurt. Let's say there's even some osteoarthritis, there's like stuff going on. With reflexology, we address the map, we let go of that diagnosis for a second, right? So something like plantar fasciitis or osteoarthritis, these are conditions, and what is underneath, what is happening with the connective tissue and what is happening with the fascia and what's happening with the musculature and tendons is a mini map of your body, which means I'm very concerned with where you're feeling that sensitivity. And once you get used to pressing on all your hands, you will discover it's not just the whole hand that hurts, but it'll be very specific areas. I will also say, if somebody has arthritis or rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis, that reflexology can be very beneficial. It's also been extremely helpful for people with any kind of numbness or neuropathy in their feet. We're able to bring back sensation. So the move, I think, is like, don't ignore it, right? Don't be like, oh, it hurts, I better not touch it. No, touch it. It's kind of like a baby crying. You pick it up, right? It's like, whatever you do, don't ignore it. If anything, if something hurts, you stay present and you give it attention and you go very gently. And every single day you do a little bit more, and you will discover that it'll become much more specific. It is not your whole hand that might be hurting. It might just be a couple fingers where there's some inflammation. It might be that there's an area of the body, let's say my gallbladder is struggling. I might feel that in my hands. And the more that I give attention to my gallbladder reflex area, the more it'll lessen the pain here. And the more it's sending the message to my gallbladder to have greater blood flow, to relax. Yeah. It's a trip. I have to say, I've been doing it for nearly 20 years now, and when I discovered it, I had certain symptomatology there was certain things going on in my body, and it helped, cured three major things that I had going on. Just got rid of it. Just the attention of, I mean, there was a period, and I do it to this day with nausea or if my stomach is hurting because I ate something wrong, I will address those areas of my stomach and large and small intestines, and it'll ease my pain. It's very direct. Um, the only thing I'll say is if you've had something for a while, you're just going to have to work more on your hands. It might take a little bit longer to go away. If you've had something for 50 years, it might take a little longer. But if you do it every day, things will change for sure. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. I'm a little confused. You said
Good.
that goes to the right side of your cortex, your right side of your brain. Most of the sensations that I'm aware of decussate across from the medulla and go to the left side of your brain. Help me understand that difference.
Really, really good. Okay, good. So you could think of the structures of the outer body, and then there's also structures in the inner body. With reflexology, it's a mirroring system. So a mirroring system would be such that my whole body in a fetal position in both my hands or both my feet would be the right side of my body is my right hand. My right shoulder is in my right shoulder reflex. The right side of my heart is going to be in the right side of my heart reflex. What you're talking about is there are certain parts of the brain. This is a little bit more complicated because this isn't always necessarily true. There are certain parts of the brain and how it processes information and definitely visual inputs, how we take in visual information that is crossed over. If we were going to really do like a workshop in reflexology, we could get into like how certain parts of how we're taking in visual information are actually crossed over. They're not on the same side. There's also beautiful theories on how the left hemisphere is dictating the right side of the body, the right hemisphere is dictating the left. That gets into cool things with traditional Korean medicine, traditional Chinese medicine about yin yang and other stuff. But I will say, in the most general way, your body, as we experience it, is going to be the same side. That being said, we always work both sides because if you have a right hip thing, you're going to work your right hip for sure in your hand. You're not going to cross over because your brain is doing a thing at all. It's going to be this side. But you always work the other side because there might be some compensation.
So what I'm hearing is you're mirroring more the Qigong meridians than standard neurology. No?
No, we don't work with energy or meridians at all. That's chi and energy. I always joke with, the clinic that I work at. Dr. Goldhammer is very, very systematized. You cannot, I do Reiki and all this other stuff. He's like, you're not doing that here. He's like, it has to be proven. Reflexology is provable. Energy, Reiki, the other stuff I do, not so much, right? But with acupuncture, acumeridian, all the acus, the ones with the teeth and the ones with the meridians, you're looking at Ayurveda, you're looking at traditional Chinese and Korean medicine. We're doing it just like the neurophysicians discovered, and they did it through systematized testing. They were looking at one part of the body and then they looked at it in the hand and in the feet. There's a beautiful guy, one more thing. One of my mentors named Dr. Manzanares in Spain. And he's a doctor of family medicine who actually diagnoses and treats with reflexology. We can't do that in this country. Like everybody would get sued up, down, and sideways. But in Spain, he could do it, and he's a doctor. And there are doctors that do it here too. But he did a great test where he looked, we're like, why is it that when I press here, it's crunchy? What is that crunchiness? Why is it that a reflexologist can press here and know that there is an imbalance at that part of the body? What is actually happening? And what he did is he took the tissue and put it under a microscope. And he wanted to test what is this stuff we're feeling. And what he discovered is that when he put the tissue that was painful and crunchy and sore, let's say someone has type 2 diabetes, and there's an area of the pancreas reflex area that is very sore and crunchy. By crunchy, I mean it's just crunchy under the surface. He took that under a microscope and he looked at it. And then he took a healthy part of the body, took that tissue, put it under a microscope. And what he discovered is the tissue that was painful or crunchy that corresponded with a condition or a disease, that area had a greater amount of nerve fibers. It actually had less connective tissue, more nerve fibers and vascular elements. The part of the body that was healthy, mostly connective tissue, mostly just stuff, mostly like, skin and musculature and nothing going on there. But there was a real difference in the percentage of what we were feeling. So it was further evidence that we're working with the same side of the body.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love those kind of questions. Anything else? Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, let's just start doing it, okay? So I want you to take your left hand, and with this is going to be your working hand. You're going to work on your left hand. So my right hand is going to hold the backside, right? Because I always want to support it. We'll do it like this, and then you'll be able to put it in your lap in a second. But we'll do it like this first. All you're going to do is bend your thumb, and you're going to press. You already know how to do this. We'll call it a press and hold, right? You've done this before. If you're like, oh my God, my back hurts, and you move your fingers and you press, right? That's all you're doing. You're doing a press and hold. Try the other hand to press and hold. Try to do it with maybe a couple fingers. How is it if you take a couple fingers and bend them, right? Like that. And then I press in and relax the hand I'm working on, right? So look at, I'm almost taking 3 or 4 fingers and I'm going into this whole area here. So I'm actually in a couple different points. I could try it again with my thumb, pressing and holding. I could even almost press and hold on the back side. So you could see how it's almost like a clamp. I could hold both sides. I'll show you a map in a second too, so you can get an idea of what that looks like. You could try the other side like a clamp, getting both sides, and you really relax the hand you're working on, right? Now to do a press and hold for some of the brain structures, your brain is in your fingers, right? Because that's the top portion. The thumb is a great area to work for the brain. The center of your swirl is usually a dot. I want you to take your second digit, your pointer finger, and press at that dot. Okay? Now I want you to hold the back side so it feels supported and you're not pushing it away. You're going to hold the back side. And what you're going to do is you're just going to rock up and you're going to rock down. Rock up and rock down. You could also rock to the side if you want. So what's happening is you're never picking up your finger. You're never going away and coming back. You're literally just like rocking. I don't know if you've ever used one of those Japanese knives that looks like a half moon, right? Yeah, it's like that. It's like you're rocking on a half moon from one part of your nail to the other, right? And I'm holding the back side. Now, the cool thing about this is the center of that swirl is your pituitary gland reflex area. That's your master gland of your endocrine system. Very, very important for all the chemicals and hormones and things that are being moved through your bloodstream. We want that to function. It might be a little painful there because it works hard. If you rock up, you're going a little bit into the pineal gland, which is very important for sleep, right? When you think of the production of melatonin, also, yeah, so you could rock up into that. If I were to rock side to side, I'm going into the limbic system, into the temporal lobes where the hippocampus, it's bilateral, so it's hippocampi and amygdala are. So I could rock into the parts of the brain that are like working with memory. There's other parts of the brain that are working with if you're safe or not, right? That amygdala in particular. So when I am rocking through this area, and this is the hardest, and that's great what you're doing in the front. I love how you're like on your lap right now. You right up front with a striped shirt. I love that. He's just all his hands are just in his lap, right? You just bring it in a lap, and now you make it easy, and you're not like holding it up like I am, right? So it's just in your lap, and you're going side to side. Very easy on your shoulders. You can do this while someone's talking to you, right? Someone's talking at you, and you could just be working on your brain, right? And listening to them, right? So know that you can detail this part if you want to access your brain. I want to share my screen really quick so I could show you the hand. Then I'm going to come back, show you 2 more techniques on how to address the hand. And then we're going to work on different parts of the body you might be experiencing tension or stress. So I'm going to share my screen very quick. Okay, so let's say, this is just the stuff we were talking about today. This is the foot map, just so you know. This is the exact map of your body as if it's in a fetal position. That pink area up there, that's your brain, right? This orange area, your neck. What you were talking about with the eyes, right? The eyes are actually down here. That's for another more advanced class. Like, why are they in our neck? That makes no sense. Why are my eyes in my neck? Then we have the ball of the foot where we have the lungs, the chest, the breast, the shoulders, the upper back. That's all in the ball of the foot. Also, your heart is there. It's at the same level. It's an exact map. The upper arch is everything below your rib cage, right? So your liver, your pancreas, your spleen, your gallbladder, part of your kidneys, your adrenals, all of that is there. The lower arch is small, large intestines, bladder, some other stuff. And then we have the pelvis and the heel. Okay. With the hands, this is what we're looking at today. And I think Judy said she got a couple of my books. I'm not sure which books she got. If she got the reflexology book or if she got the smaller books, which kind of are just like self-care kind of stuff, something new every day books. But this is what we're looking at. Now, you don't even have to know what you're doing. You can just do the technique of press and hold and press and rock. You're good to go. And if it's sensitive, lighten up and stay more there. That's it. That's the move. But if you're very curious and you want to know where you are, you could get a map. You could get a map and be like, where is my gallbladder? And you can apply pressure there and give attention there. It's a matter of just knowing who you are and how you like to, I like to, the more I know, the better, right? I'll learn all this stuff and then I learn it so good I can throw it away and I can be more intuitive. Okay? Finally, this is what we're going to look at a little bit today is the brain structures. These are just some of the key brain structures. So right here, you see pituitary. That's around where the center of the swirl was. That's where you place that finger. And when you rocked up, you were rocking into other structures of the brain. You rock side to side, other structures. He mentioned the medulla oblongata and the pons. That's the spinal cord. That's going to be a little further down as we go into the spinal cord. Okay? Or this is the brain stem rather, and then this is the spinal cord. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. And we're going to do a couple more techniques, but I want you to have that in mind that the areas we're pressing when we get into the fingers, especially the face of a finger, the fingerprint, the thumbprint, we're inside the brain. When we are over this area is very, very good. These are the metacarpal heads. If someone has allergies, lung stuff, asthma, this part of the hand might be very sensitive to the touch, but that's exactly the area you're going to want to press and some other places in order to give attention to the part of the body that's struggling, right? So instead of like being here, which this can be good too, we will actually address it in the mini map. So you know how to press and hold. That's easy. You're learning now how to press and rock, easy enough. Keep on trying to do that and do it with all your fingers. We're going to do it when we do a little, we'll do a little routine together where we'll do all our fingers. Another thing is if I want to address my liver, for instance, say my liver needs attention. The liver is a very large organ. It's going to be mostly on the right side of the body through here, and then a little tail over here. I'm not going to want to go press and hold, press and hold, press and hold. It's just too long, and I'm going to be missing areas. So what you want to do is press and hold like you learned, and then what you're going to do is unbend a little, but still have you're still pressing, and then you bend again. So you bend, unbend a little, bend, unbend a little, bend, unbend a little, bend. So if I was showing you like this, I'm going down, let's see, like this. Down, unbend. See how it's still bent though? Down, 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 down. So it's like I just came back from teaching in the UK and they're very cute there. They call it the earthworm or the centipede or the like they always call it all these little, we call it thumb walking in this country. So you are literally walking your thumb or you're doing a little earthworm, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So that is thumb walking. Thumb walking is going to be really, really good if I want to traverse larger parts of my hand. And you could even try it now where this is my left hand, I can walk this zone, right? I can start at the bottom at the base and walk all the way up towards my fifth digit, towards my little finger. And I'm just going bend and bend, bend and bend, bend and bend all the way up. And while you're doing these passes, now you could do the fourth one, all the way to the fourth, all the way to the third, second, first. As you're rocking or walking, into the tissue, pay attention if there's a little bit of discomfort somewhere. And also, you may find like when I'm doing self-care to myself, when I press in, I actually do this kind of waving motion, right? Because I like to kind of go into the point. And that helps me, especially around this area. This is the end of my colon, right? As things are going out, my like part of my small intestine and my descending colon, I always got stuff there, right? And that's also where I got stuff in life, right? In my digestive area. So this is where it might be a little uncomfortable. This is where there's a call for attention, and this is where I'm going to feel those crunchy bits, which they used to call crystals. So try your other hand and see what it's like to just go over certain areas. You don't even need to know where you are. But see if you can feel, and those of you I can see seem to be doing very well. See if you could feel a little discomfort somewhere. See if you could feel a little crunchy bit. Dr. Manzanares, discovered that if there were those little crunchy bits, it's not scar tissue, but kind of operates in the same vein in that if it's crunchy, 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 it would mean that it's been there for a while, right? If it's painful, it's active now, right? So if I currently have a frozen shoulder and I can't lift my arm, I may discover that there's pain underneath this fifth digit. I'll experience pain not just in the actual area, I'll experience it in the reflex area. We can't diagnose, but we could certainly assess, right? We could certainly detect that there's something going on there. And it doesn't even mean that there's something wrong. It just means there's a call for attention. Okay. So you could do the thumb walking. You could do it with your fingers as well. So you could do your fingers up through here. The fingers are really good for going around the wrist. The wrist down here, prostate and uterus is below this thumb. So right here where this tendon is, where if I were to bend my hand, it's like this little dip in there, right there. That's the left side of the prostate or the left side of the uterus. On the other side is where testes and ovaries might be. So I can take my fingers and just go around the entirety of my wrist. And now I'm getting all that lower lymph area and groin area, which is so important. Even if you have nothing wrong, it's important to do everything, right? We don't wait until something's wrong, right? And so I can thumb walk and I can finger walk all the way around there. I could try that kind of clamping gesture that I showed, right? I could do like a coin rub, like if I had a coin right here, and I were to do this, I can do that, but at the base of all my fingers, where my neck is. So I could literally have this go like this, and I can do the base of every single finger. And that means I'm like, it's as if I'm getting my neck like this, but I'm doing it on the little mini map, which by the way is so much safer when it comes to certain areas of the body, especially if you can't touch a part of the body. Sometimes people will have this with a frozen shoulder. You don't want someone digging into your armpit in order to free up that muscle. You can do it instead through the little mini map, and it won't hurt as much generally, and it's way safer than going into the actual tissue. Okay. Are there any questions about how to thumb walk, finger walk, coin rub, do the clamp, do the press and hold? Is it all feel okay?
Hello,
Hello.
Jeremy. The picture you showed with both hands, it looked like you had two gallbladders. I mean, like if you're working on your gallbladder, you work on both hands? Or is it just one side, like on your left side, whatever's on the left side of your body, or whatever's on the right side of your body, use either hand? Or
Beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly right. I'll share my screen and then I could show you again. Um, yes, it's exactly the same side. So the gallbladder is on the right side of the body, right? Just like the liver is. The spleen is on the left side of the body. So if I wanted to address my gallbladder in the map, it's going to be right here. So I would press both sides, press in, and relax my hand. This gesture, I could even do a rocking gesture in there. The gallbladder is only on one side, but there are these biliary kind of strands or branches that are passing through pancreas and other parts of the body, but they're not technically the gallbladder. The gallbladder is just like this little pear that hangs there, but there are little branches that are extending. That's what you might have seen, that little green area. Anybody else? And I'll share that as well. So this is the gallbladder proper right here, but these green branches are branching into other parts of the body. Now, the thing about the hands, which is interesting, the feet are so much more anatomically correct because it's more like your body. Your 2 feet are long, like your body in a fetal position. It's almost like a perfect kind of shape, right? When we get into the hands, we have these weird thumbs that kind of distort the hand and they're more squat. So things like the liver, you could see how odd and oblong it is. Certainly the pancreas as well. But things like the gallbladder, the heart, the lungs, the spleen, those are all, and the brain structures are very, very easy. Any other questions? Okay, I want to try, I'm going to teach you one thing. It's the HPA axis. We're going to address the pituitary, the hypothalamus, the adrenal, and then we're going to hold for 5 seconds. This is very good for addressing the brain. It's very good for helping to calm down, especially if you really need to shut off before sleep. It's good at helping with stress and anxiety because the hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal are part of an axis that talk to each other. That hypothalamus tells the pituitary to tell the adrenals to produce cortisol. So what happens when I'm stressed is my hypothalamus is telling the pituitary to tell the adrenals, go, 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 go. And what happens is I get caught in a loop. I imagine it like I always say the hypothalamus is like mama, the pituitary is papa, and the kids are the adrenals. And mom is telling dad to tell the kids to go play over and over, go play, go play, go play, go play. And there comes a point where we have to stop. Reflexology is a great way to interrupt your stress response. Without your mind, without trying to figure anything out, you're just applying pressure and sending the tactile message. If you count, that is really good too. Because if I'm doing this and counting up to 5 every time I'm doing a finger and an adrenal hold, it's very hard for a thought form to come in when I'm counting up to 5 and pressing at the same time. We confuse the brain, and that's a good thing. So we're going to do that together now. I'm going to do it once alone, and then we're going to do it together. So we're going to start here at the center. And what I'll do first alone, and then we'll do together. We're going to do all the fingers. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 5. Then I'm going to go to the adrenal, the center of the mound, and I'm going to hold and relax. 1, I'm right there. 2, 3, 5. Second finger. Okay, and then I'm gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I'm gonna be rocking the whole time as I'm pressing and counting. So we're gonna do that together. We're gonna do one hand. We won't do the second hand. You'll do the second hand on your own, and start when you're ready. So you're gonna go 1, 2, 5, adrenal, hold 1, close your eyes if you like, or lower your gaze. Second finger, 1, 2, adrenal, 1, third finger, 1, adrenal, fourth finger, adrenal, and finally fifth finger, 2, 3, 4, 5, adrenal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could rub your hands together. You could do the other hand after. And with the palms of your hands, go ahead and just palm your eyes. You could do it like a cup, or I like to feel the base just gently over my eyelids, and place your elbows on your lap or on the table in front of you. So you're totally relaxed. So your elbows are on your lap or on the table, and I'll let you know when a minute is up. And go ahead and let that go. So that's not reflexology. That's just palming the eyes. But if you could do that multiple times a day, we are so stimulated by everything we're looking at all the time, right? So to just do that, that was a 1 whole minute, right? So you could do your hands, your brain, your adrenal, do the other side, brain, 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 adrenal, and then palm your eyes. You could set an alarm maybe at 9, 12, and 4. It goes off, and you just stop what you're doing. Maybe you're talking with someone, you say, hold on, wait. You just do it. All right, I want to open it up for any questions. It just hit 12 o'clock, but I want to give a little bit of time if there's anything on your mind or if there's a part of the body you're curious where to press. Just so you know, also, if Judy did get the reflexology book, the first half of the book is what reflexology is, the maps, etc. The second half of the book is conditions and diseases and where to press. If she got the smaller books, those are little like something new every day, 30 things different to try to get, and that's really kind of more about neurogenesis, but in a playful way. It's not scientific at all. It doesn't talk about the brain at all. It just says do something different and gives you examples. Um, but just so you know, there are protocols in that book. If she got the reflexology one. Okay, so anything you want to know? Yes, go ahead.
I was wondering, when you're doing trauma work, when you're doing trauma work, do you include the amygdala and the insula?
Oh my God, yes. So I teach this class that I teach, I do a 50-hour program with trauma and addiction, and it's usually done in parts. Level one is we deal with five brain structures. And a lot of times we're introducing people to the top five. The amygdala, big time. The amygdala is detecting for danger. It's detecting to see if you're safe. Is this pleasurable? Is this painful? So the amygdala for sure. Hippocampus for sure. Hypothalamus, pituitary, and we start looking at gray matter, and yeah, thalamus, hypothalamus, hippocampus, amygdala, and gray matter. Those are the five areas of level one. Level two, we start talking about the insula and the anterior insula, the cingulate cortex, and other. Yeah, it gets very like big. Like we start talking about the names, but the way I teach it, we do a lot of palming. So we figure out where it is in our own brain. We make a lot of associations like, if you're trying to remember what the thalamus is, you could think of it like a crossing guard, that's like taking in information and knows where the bus is, the kids are, what lights are out. So we do a lot of associations because a lot of people don't know about the brain. Some people do, but I really try to make it make sense because if someone's coming to the class, it's not just a matter of relieving the shoulder for shoulder pain, but if there is trauma or addiction and there are certain parts of the brain that are overused, for instance, with trauma, that thalamus and amygdala are exhausted. If I'm doing this all day, my shoulder is exhausted, my flexor is exhausted. If I am always having to be aware of my environment, that thalamus and amygdala are exhausted, and I want to give them attention. Yeah.
So in reflexology, is it just normalizing when you touch, or is one stimulating versus inhibiting? So in
Great
trauma,
question.
do you reduce the sympathetic arousal or just increase parasympathetic?
Yeah, really good question. So, you're bringing the body back to what is called homeostasis. The goal is to bring the body back to balance. So that might mean for one person that it's bringing them back to a parasympathetic state, but someone who is hypo aroused or, just like really depressed or under, there might be a certain stimulation that is necessary, and it's hopefully bringing their body back up to balance. So if balance is this, area, this window right here, there are some people that are living in sympathetic and always really, really, really stressed out and panicked, and it's very intense. And then there are other people that are on the lower spectrum where it's more overwhelm, more depression, more exhaustion. We want to bring both of those back to that window. Ultimately, what we all want to live in a parasympathetic state. We all want to live in a place where we're safe, we're chill, there's the availability for creativity and laughter and love. And reflexology is a method, a technique to help us. I say it in the book, it's like nudge us back in the direction of what it might feel like to be safe, what it might feel like to be relaxed. And then it's our job every day to do a little bit of this is just one method. There's other things. I look outside, I contemplate leaves. You know what I mean? I'll look out a window and just contemplate a leaf. Like anything we can do to get our mind to just not be overthinking, not be analytical, not trying to figure anything out. whatever gets us there. I contemplate leaves, I press on my hands, I make sure I have time that I do nothing. You know, all those things. I don't look at my phone or computer after a certain point of the day. We're all different, you know what I mean? But to know what makes us hyper and what might bring us more peace, yeah, is important.
Another question here.
Yeah,
Um, actually, I have two questions, if you don't mind.
love
My
it. Yeah.
first, if you have a cough, a constant cough, maybe it's from allergies or digestion, is there a place on the hand that you can work with to help to minimize or to eliminate that cough?
Yeah, it's a good question. So with the cough, we don't always necessarily know where it's coming from. So you said digestion. A cough can absolutely be a manifestation of like an acid reflux. In fact, that's one of the most misdiagnosed conditions because someone will just be like, oh, no, no, I just clear my throat all the time and I have a little cough. It must just be allergies. But it's actually potentially, possibly from an overproduction of that hydrochloric acid that's coming up into the throat area. So we might not know what it is. Um, so that would determine maybe where we are or are not working in the hand. My feeling is we don't always know where stuff comes from. So work on everything. And you're going to get really good at detecting where there's a call for attention. You're going to be like, ooh, that's more sensitive there, or that's more crunchy there, or I just feel like it's there. I just want to be there more. It feels really good there. So you're going to get, and if you can reach not everybody can reach their feet, but if you reach your feet are great too, or partner up and work on each other's feet, right? The feet feel so good. And those areas are, the map is a little bit easier. If it is that ball of the foot or the ball of the hand, if it is for asthma, coughing, um, anything at the level of heart, lungs, that kind of cardiovascular circulatory system, you will address there, yes. And you always intuitively work everything because that isn't necessarily where it arose from. That might be where your symptoms are, but it could have begun somewhere else. So we free up everything because you are this whole body. You are this holistic thing. So who's to say just because your symptom is here, it doesn't mean it's not coming from here? Yeah. Your
Thank
other
you.
My second
question?
was about the vagus nerve. Is there
Ah, the
some,
Vegas.
uh, yes, the vagus. Is there a place on the hand that you can do to activate or to work with the vagus nerve?
Yeah, totally. So I don't have a map. Those maps, I don't have the vagus nerve in that particular map that I showed with the brain, but there are 12 cranial nerves. The vagus nerve is one of them. If you don't, most of you may already know, there's a lot of information out there in the world nowadays, which is great. You know, it's known as like the traveling nerve. It's the one that's innervating heart, innervating digestion. It's, you know, it's like a vagabond traveling down. Somebody brought up earlier the medulla. A lot of these nerves are passing through that brain stem in order to go to where they are innervating or activating or helping something do its job, right? So that vagus nerve is coming out of the brain through the medulla, and it's going to be innervating different aspects of the cardiovascular and the digestive system. That means if we're just thinking anatomically, all we got to do is know where it is in the body, and then we place it in the thumb and down. It's a little bit easier in the feet just because of how, I don't know where my feet are. Where do my feet go? I usually have feet here. Where are my feet? It's because I just got back from teaching. I think they're still in the suitcase. The it's a little bit easier in the feet just because of how it goes down that first digit. But with the vagus nerve, I would actually say you can think about one area and work on it. I think it's more advantageous to begin in a part of the body and then just like zoom out and work because what will happen is we may have been told that there's an impingement or a something going on with our piriformis or our vagus nerve or our, one of the flexor muscles. Like we might have been told something, but again, we don't actually know where the area is or even like the energetic disruption is. So I would work everything and see what your hands tell you. And then finally to end, because you said vagus nerve, I would work through here, work down and bring it into the heart area and into the digestive area. So you're going to be doing brain coming down into heart, into digestion. Other side, brain coming down through pons and medulla, innervating heart, innervating digestion. Okay? Yeah, you're welcome. Anything else?
So
I may have misunderstood or missed, initially, are the pressure points, are the feet different? The pressure points in your hands, so you need to understand both? We can't just work on our hands. That's one
No,
question.
that's great. You could totally just work on your hands. Let me show you the map really quick again. Share. All right. So as I mentioned, the feet are a little bit easier because they're long like our bodies, right? So our head, neck, this is our chest, breast, lung area. This is our upper abdomen. This is our lower abdomen. This is our pelvis. You could see it's as if I'm in a fetal position. So this is my hip. This is my knee. This is my lower leg. This is my shoulder. This is my arm. This is my hand. Everything is all lined up very easily. There are practitioners that just do feet reflexology. There are some that do feet and hands, and others do ears and face as well. As far as self-care, if you could reach your hand, if your feet, do it. I'm not the most flexible in my hips, but if you could get your knee and bring your hand, your foot to rest over your other leg and press on the sides and get to like this area, go into the arch of the foot, you're going to be able to address the kidneys, the adrenal, the gallbladder, all the good stuff down there. Um, there are methods as well if if you were sitting on the floor that you could kind of maybe also get around it. Sitting down like as you are now, if you were all to lean forward and place your elbows on your lap and lean to one side or the other, you could also address the sides of your feet, possibly more easier than bringing a foot to a leg. So it's just a matter of what is easiest for you. Also, I'll say it's not pressure points. I think you said pressure points. Pressure points are like acupressure points. That's what it's more related to, which is the meridian system. That's actually dealing more with energy, acupressure and acupuncture. With reflexology, we actually call them reflex points. And the reason why, in part, is because of the reflex arc that is happening along the spinal cord where there are neurons interacting with each other and helping to process and receive and send messages. So it's a reflex arc. It's called reflexology and they're reflex points. Yeah. Okay. What else?
You address, oh. If you can hear me. Can you hear me?
I heard address. Could you address? That's what I heard.
Can you address the face and the earlobes as far as?
Yeah, it would be a whole other class just because there's so much and it's a little bit different of a system. The ears are very fascinating because there are a couple different systems. There's the French map, there's the Chinese map, there's one where we're actually dealing more with acupuncture points. And it's very involved. It's a whole thing in and of itself. Um, but I will say, if for some reason you're like, my ears always hurt, there is nothing wrong with doing a little like that coin rub gesture all along your outer ears, and you will by default be working with certain areas. The hands, The ears are very strong too. The hands are very good though for self-care. And actually what you're doing in the front where you're working both like that, that's lovely. Yeah, it could be really if you're lying down and you can't sleep, you just put like a pillow on either side so you don't have to hold anything up and just do that. Can be very relaxing. Yeah. And there are cool points for addiction. There are cool points for like still point. There are cool points in the ears, just a much more involved system. Begin with the hands. They're the easiest. All right, what else?
Anyone else?
And the last one.
Last one. Is that what I heard? Okay, go ahead.
So if I'm understanding correctly, when you are touching, reflexology system, that touch is normalized, whether the area you're touching is underactivated or overactivated. Reflexology brings it to normalization. Is that a correct understanding?
Yeah, I like that way of saying it. That normalization, because that's the thing is we have done studies that we've noticed that if someone has hypertension, for instance, we know that reflexology can lower or normalize blood pressure and it can lower or normalize blood sugar. What we've also discovered is that in cases where someone has low blood sugar or low blood pressure, there can be an increase. I'm very lucky to work at a clinic where in the early days when I've been there for 9 years, in the early days, I actually used to live in the neighborhood and I'd go by in the mornings when the doctors and the interns go by and are doing the blood pressure and such. And we could see it. And people now have the little Calibres and all these things for blood sugar. And we would test it. We would test it before the session, at the start, 10 minutes in, and at the end. And we would just note what was happening. Very anecdotal. I mean, this is one client to one practitioner, but very interesting stuff. So we know in larger studies that we can lower and normalize blood pressure and blood sugar. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you got it.
Now,
All right,
what-
it is 12:17. Is there one more?
Yes, looking for blood pressure, where would you work? I know that you had talked, and I agree with doing the entire hand, but is there a specific area for blood pressure?
Yes, and I will say, Judy, I don't know, did you get the reflex? You said you had bought a couple books or something. Did you get the reflexology books?
I didn't buy the reflexology book. I bought the tool self-care.
Oh, the little books.
We are having a potluck next week, next Thursday evening, and I will go ahead and buy the book, and anybody who comes to the potluck, that will be one of the drawings. So,
Yeah.
come
So,
to the potluck. But no, I bought the two.
yeah, the small one is cuter. It's more like, and it's interesting. Yeah, the small one is interesting. I didn't intend it to be this way, but it's actually, we know that when we do new things, we're building new neuronal kind of connections, right? If you guys have ever like gone down any kind of rabbit hole, or if you've taken any kind of classes, when you see two neurons starting to like almost communicate, it's like two people in a room, like you see each other across the room and there's that connection and you get closer. Maybe I don't drink, but maybe you have a drink and you like get all close, right? And there's that connection. And then you actually maybe even touch hands and then you feel that chemical energy that's going on in your brain. Two neurons, when they finally touch, are like, it's like branches of a tree. So those little books, I have two of them. One, I don't think you have, that was the first little book what
I'll
is
show
it?
you.
She's going to show you which one. Hold
Oh,
on.
okay. Yeah, the first one I got, is a very simple, sweet little, it's like there's quotes, there's journal pages. It's like get out of the house, take a different route to work. It's very basic kind of stuff. The second book, which is kind of like a series, gets into getting out of your, I mean, both are getting out of your comfort zone, but the second one is more about, I think we actually get into palming the eyes, we get into tapping, we get into fasting, we get into like, what are those things?
You got it.
Something
Oh,
every
it's the
day.
first one. Interesting. Yeah, so there's a pickle recipe in there. That's not allowed at True North. The clinic I work at, we're not allowed to have oil, sugar, or salt. So that book isn't allowed to be there. That's the one she got. It's a very simple book. It was the first, yeah. Anyway, so in this book, the reflexology book, this gets into body systems. Again, I'm a big fan of making things simple. So in here, I'll go into like, say, the lymphatic system. It'll show you what it is, how it works, but it does it in like 4 sentences. What's the definition? What's the function? What is it in short? How does it work? Period. The second half of the book, though, are all these conditions and diseases and disorders, etc. And the way I've broken it down is it'll say insomnia, definitions, symptoms, reflexology guide is what I call it, because there's no protocol per se for IBS or insomnia because we're all so different. The book can't be written. We're all too different, right? But you can look at that and go, okay, maybe the pineal, maybe the pituitary, maybe the hypothalamus, maybe the anterior cingulate, maybe the spine, maybe the solar plexus, right? Maybe these are some of the symptoms. Okay, I can do the liver, the adrenals, the diaphragm. Diaphragm, that little pass up through here that is right here on the hand, so good for nausea. When you're feeling nauseous, to just do that pass, oh my God, it's one of the best things you could do, but with some other stuff too. So if she gets the reflexology book, you can see there are different guides to help you with that or to inspire you towards where you might go.
Would that include the areas we could work on blood pressure?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, let me see if it's how I put it. Yeah, there's one, they're right on page 91. There's one for high blood pressure, one for high blood sugar. And again, it'll say things like heart, pons, medulla, pituitary, kidneys, solar plexus. And then you go to this area where there's a map and you press there. That being said, again, know yourself. You might be someone that's like wants to look at, the possible areas and then learn where they are. Or maybe you just want to be intuitive and you're like, screw it. I don't even want to know where my kidney reflex area is and just press and see where you're feeling it. Both are good. Both are fine.
Are we all set with questions? Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Yay. And you're going to do it, right? You guys are all going to do it today? You're going to.
Yes, we are. Anyone want to say comments?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Well-
So great questions too.
Maybe you can come back next year, we'll see.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
maybe. If you want me, I'll come.
Some people will come to you next year where you are.
Oh my
And Sam-
God, yeah. Oh yeah, I'm at True North and I'm in Petaluma. I travel all. Where are you guys?
We're down in Hilton Head, South Carolina, Bluffton, South Carolina.
South Carolina. Yeah, I've never been to South Carolina. I might be going to North Carolina next year, but
Now we're South Carolina. Well, if you go to Carolina, come down, visit.
yeah. Okay.
We'll have a live class. Live
Yeah.
demo.
Oh my God, so much better. Yeah. We'll partner up. I'll go around. Yeah, that'd be fun. Anytime. My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Surprise, once I wrap this, so.